So I've got this piece of purple heart here it's about 2 inches thick. As you can see here, it's about 5 by 7, and I wanted to turn a bowl out of it. So instead of just cutting it into a 5 by 5 blank, I wanted to actually make the blank wider, make it about a 7 by 7. So here I'm at the table saw. I'm going to rip a strip off of the piece of wood, and then actually turn that into a mold that you'll see here in a minute to cast some Alumilite into. So once I cut that, you see here I've got a few pieces of plywood. Those 3 little pieces there are spacers to make the piece wider, so it'll actually end up square. I'm going to attach the 2 side pieces of plywood you see here, and then once I attach those, I'll put a bottom on it. Pro tip here, put your drill right in the way of the shot, that way you can't see what's going on. There we go, we're out of the way now. I struggled putting the screws into this thing. This purple heart was some of the hardest purple heart wood I've ever dealt with, so the screws didn't want to grab hold. There you see the driver in the way again. So once I get the sides on, it's time to add the bottom piece that will finish creating the cavity to pour the Alumilite into. So same process here, just clamping it down, drilling some pilot holes, and driving a few screws. Once I get the bottom attached, you can see now the cavity where the Alumilite will go. You can see here that a couple of corners are knocked off, because once I got the mold made, got it all put together, I checked first, and the mold wouldn't go into my pressure pot. It was too big, so I had to knock a couple of corners off, and I used some painter's tape to kind of hold everything together and make sure nothing would leak. So here I'm mixing up the Alumilite. Mix part A, part B, and stir it up really well. Scrape the sides and do all the things that Zach Higgins says to do to mix it thoroughly. I'm putting a gold mica powder into one and a sort of a sea green in the other. Then pour it into the mold, and once it's poured, I'll put it into the pressure pot. Right about here, I realize I wish I would have mixed up a little bit more Alumilite there. You can see it doesn't quite go all the way to the top. This is part one of a two-part video for making this Purpleheart Alumilite bowl. Part two will be released on Monday next week, so make sure to check back to see what the blank looks like and then what kind of bowl it turns into. Thanks for watching.